holiday mode. So you go on holiday and all of a sudden your money becomes Monopoly money. When you have time off, holiday mode kicks in. Hey sailors, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. I hope you are doing well. I hope you've had a great week. So today we are going to talk about what you can expect to spend your money on during your contract working on board a cruise ship. Because if you're looking at working on a cruise ship, I am sure you have heard people say, you have heard me say, it's a great way to save money. Like, it gives you a great opportunity to pay off debts, set yourself up for life, so, save for a deposit on a house, save up for a car, save, because you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to buy food. Everything's really cheap. Like if you go to the crew bar for a drink, you're going to pay probably about $1.50 for like a vodka and coke. Great, I am ready to come back with $1 million in savings is what I thought, if I'm completely honest. When the woman from Steiner came to my college and gave us the cruise ship talk, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go away. I'm going to do one contract on a cruise ship. I'm going to be able to come back and buy a house. I am going to contradict myself a little bit in this video because I've made many videos before saying you can save loads of money, and I mean exactly what I just said, and I still stand by that. But whether that's actually your reality is completely down to you, because let me tell you, even though I went on my first contract thinking that I would be able to buy a house when I came back, I spent absolutely everything that I earned on my first contract, and I have no regrets. I had a very good time, probably too much of a good time. So no, buying a house or buying anything, buying a car wasn't really on the cards when I came back from my first contract. And a lot of people, my friends and family, parroted back to me what I had said before I went on the contract, which was like, what do you mean you don't have any savings? You didn't have to pay for rent, you didn't have a car, you didn't have any bills, you didn't even have to pay tax because you were out of the UK for more than 6 months of the year. What do you mean you don't have any savings, Lucy? Now, when I looked at my statement, which I always get a statement at the end of my contract, and it basically shows me how much I have spent during the contract on board and what on, and I distinctly remember adding up my coffee purchases, and it turns out I spent $300 on coffee, and that was just on board in the crew coffee area. So bearing in mind that coffee is like $1.50, it's a lot of coffee, and that isn't even taking into consideration my alcohol purchases on board. Now granted, when I did my first contract I was 19, so I wasn't legally allowed to drink alcohol when I was on board. However, I found a way. Don't you worry. But this video isn't about me, it's about you. What are you going to spend your money on when you get on board your first contract? Well, going off that, going out in crew bar. Now, the reason for this, even if you're not a big drinker, crew bar is where a lot of the socialization happens. So if you want to make friends, which presumably you will want to make friends because working on a cruise ship, you're going to be away from all your regular friends and family. So unless you're extremely introverted, this is going to be an activity that you partake in. And no matter what cruise line you go on, what ship you end up on, the drinks are going to be really cheap in crew bar. So just as I said before, a gin and tonic, a vodka and coke, a spirit in a mixer is usually going to be between $1 and $2. So let's say $1.50, which is so inexpensive for a lot of crew members. So you really can have an amazing night for $10. Like, $10 is going to mean that you probably don't remember the night, but you had a good time, But the problem is with this is because it's so cheap, you don't really think anything of it. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to crew bar again. It's fine. And now if you're like me, I was like, rounds on me, guys, because it's $1.50 for a drink. Of course I can buy everyone a drink. Of course, why not? Of course I'll buy a round. And again, this is fine if you're going to crew bar every few weeks or whatever and you're living like a baller. But if you end up doing what I did on my first contract, which was going to crew bar pretty much every single night, if you're spending $10 every night, that's $70 a week, which is $280 a month. So you can see how this snowballs, and if you're doing a 6-month contract. So this is your number one nemesis when it comes to saving money. You're going to want to socialise. Crew bar is a great time, but just be wary that those $1.50 drinks, they add up. I remember a girl that I worked with on my first contract got her statement and she'd spent $4,200 just in crew bar. Now, I mentioned the coffee thing earlier, like I spent a hell of a lot of money on coffee. To be honest, on every single contract I've ever been on, I've always spent money on coffee, because the coffee that is offered in the mess, which is the crew eating area, it's dirty water. It's really not great. Apart from on Virgin, actually. Coffee, this kills my soul a little bit, because I spent a lot of money on coffee from the coffee shop on Virgin, which you pay extra for, which is exactly the same coffee that you can get in the mess. But yeah, I chose to buy it because I wanted the paper cup. And then you look at the statement at the end of your contract and you're like, okay, oh, okay. But pretty much on every other cruise line I've been on, the coffee is shocking. So you will want to buy the specialty coffee or tea, or, you know, if you're a coffee and tea lover like I am. So drinks, coffee, tea, alcohol is probably, I'm going to say, the number one thing that is going to eat away at your money. The second thing, which is always a surprise, is food. And people are like, hang on, but you said that you get food for free. You do get food for free in the crew mess. But it's the crew mess. And usually the food in the crew mess is below average. Like, it's edible. Obviously this depends on what cruise line you go on. Some cruise lines are better than others. I have spoke about this extensively in previous videos. So it really is luck of the draw in terms of if you get a good crew mess or not. But if you do not get a good crew mess, you are going to spend a lot of money on food. Basically, every time you get off the ship and go out in port, you are going to want some food that you actually enjoy eating. So on one of my ships, the crew mess was, yeah, absolutely diabolical. So every time I was in Miami, the Bahamas, wherever, I was spending like $30 to $50 on lunch or snacks or, you know, breakfast or whatever, just a nice drink, because most of us, myself included, love eating. It is one of life's simple but incredible pleasures. And if you have a really bad crew mess on board, you know, this can really ruin your soul. And people just don't get this, because they're like, well, if you can eat for free on board the cruise ship, like, why would you be spending so much money on food? Well, you don't realise how much you enjoy eating food until the food that you're eating is crap, to put it bluntly. And also, there can be a social element to this. If you go out with a group of people and you have the best of intentions that you're not going to eat outside and you're going to come back and have lunch in the mess, you know, to save money, but you go out with a group of people and they're all like, oh yeah, let's go to this pizza place, or let's go here and have a drink and some food, you don't want to be the only one that's like, actually, I'm going to go back and eat the gruel that's offered in the mess because I'm trying to save money. Like, I mean, maybe you will, and if you do, then hey, good on you. I did not, because yes, I wanted to save money, but do I want to eat at this pizza place with my friends? Yes. And then the whole you only live once tape kicks in, and before you know it, I've ordered the whole menu. Okay, I do regret spending so much on food over the years, because we're in the thousands, like, it's a lot. However, I know that I needed, like, I know when I was on Harmony and like a few other ships before that, I needed it. Like, I needed to eat good food, nutritious food, something that was gonna like make life a little bit better. So I don't regret it in that sense, because you gotta look after yourself, and if that was gonna be the difference between my day being good and bad, like, I'm gonna do it. But once again, if you're doing it every single port day, then it quickly becomes an issue. So I pray that whatever ship you go on, you have a good crew mess that offers a good selection of food, and it's not quantity and no quality. Like hopefully there's some quality there. It is something that you look back on and you're like, wow, I can't believe that I was getting food for free and I still spent this much money on food. I could have been more thoughtful in my purchases. But what you will find, and a lot of people find this, is that, you know, holiday mode. So you go on holiday and all of a sudden your money becomes Monopoly money. And you're like, we deserve it. This is the only thing about when you work on a cruise ship. When you have time off, holiday mode kicks in because you're in this beautiful destination that you haven't been before, and all of a sudden your money is Monopoly money. Nothing matters. Saving for that car when you get home, that doesn't matter. What matters is that I get on that jet ski, I have that incredible meal and that cocktail that's $20. That's one of the most enjoyable things about working on cruise ships, is that every time you get off the ship, you're like, I'm on holiday. Maybe I wouldn't have snapped into holiday mode every time I got off the ship if I could go back. Maybe I would have just kept holiday mode for like 1 day a week. The next one, which you knew was coming, is internet. So cruise ships are like 30 years behind the rest of the world. I mean, you can even get internet on a plane, but cruise ships are still just not quite there. Not all cruise ships, not all cruise lines, but a lot of them. Like, yes, you can get internet, but you will pay a premium for it, and it's very slow. Even the cruise ships that claim to have really, really great internet, it's never, I wouldn't describe it as great. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. It's internet and I'm grateful to have internet, but is it great? No. But we are also used to having internet now. We all love a doom scroll on Instagram. We all like watching YouTube videos, TikTok videos. We also want to call and text our friends and our loved ones back home. I can't tell you how much you are going to spend because every cruise line has drastically different internet packages, and I have made a video going through cruise line internet packages, so I will link that down below. You can go and watch that if you want to. But it's a lot, like it's not cheap, and it's kind of okay because the whole, well, I don't pay for food, I don't pay for rent, I don't pay tax, I don't pay for this, I don't have a car, I don't have a commute. The only thing I really have to pay for is internet. You're like, okay, like if that's my one expense, then fine. So again, I'm not going to go into how much you can expect to spend because I don't know, it depends on the cruise line. But if you want to know more about that, check out the video I made about that. The next thing is activities. If you're really lucky, you will be given a ship that is going to some really exciting destinations. Apart from like 2 or 3 ships, I've been really lucky. Like, my first ship did Australia, the Middle East, the Mediterranean, New Zealand, and then my second ship did Alaska, Canada, Hawaii, Tahiti, Bora Bora. And that's great because that is honestly why I started to work on cruise ships. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to see as much as the world as I possibly could on somebody else's dime. But obviously, when you are going to these really exciting destinations, you want to make the most of your time there, especially if you're only there for a limited amount of time. So let's say you get a world cruise and you're going to be in every destination once or twice. I mean, once if it's a world cruise. You're going to probably take every single opportunity that's offered, right? Like, you're going to go skydiving in New Zealand. You're going to go to the Blue Mountains in Australia. You're going to go whale watching when you're in Juneau, Alaska. You're going to go on the zip line when you're in Skagway. You're going to go to the lumberjack show in Ketchikan. But they are an expense. So, you know, when I was in Alaska, I went to see the bears, went to see the whales, went to the lumberjack show. I went up Hubbard Glacier, I had a helicopter tour. Like, I did all of these incredible things. Do I regret it? Not one bit. Like, I am so glad that I did it. And to be quite honest, I think if you're going to spend your money on anything, it should be those things. Do I remember all of those meals? Do I remember having all that alcohol? Do I remember all the internet I bought? No. But do I remember all of the tours that I went on? Yes, I do, and absolutely the best thing that you can spend your money on is experiences, in my opinion. But if you are doing a really exciting itinerary, you are going to be doing a lot of experiences. I am of the belief that if it is your first contract, just spend the money. Just spend the money, have a good time, do the experiences, because you won't regret it. Like, and this was what I said to myself, the whole holiday mode thing is like, when am I going to be in Alaska again? When am I going to be in Bora Bora again? When am I going to be in Tahiti again? Probably not for a while, if ever. So I'm going to make the most of my time here. Now, because of this, I have the assumption that if you went on a cruise ship that did a boring itinerary, that you would save more money. And I was speaking to my friend who's done the Cunard Queen Mary a few times, which does Southampton to New York. So you leave Southampton, you do 7 days at sea, you get to New York. You leave New York, you do 7 days at sea, you get to Southampton. And that is what you do. I remember when I first got the job with Harding, they gave me that ship before they gave me P&O Oceana, and I said no. Just like I did at Steiner, I got given a crap itinerary when I was with the onboard spa, and I literally was like, no. And then I got Rhapsody, which was amazing. And then the same happened at Harding. I got a crap, well, sorry if anyone's on it, but I got Queen Mary, which is a crap itinerary. And I was like, no. And then I got Oceana, which was amazing. But I thought, well, you'd probably save loads of money if you were literally just shuttling back between Southampton and New York. But speaking to some of the crew members on there, they're like, no, you just spend way more at Crew Bar because you're like, you have to blow off steam. When I compared some of their bar bills to my bar bills, or bar bills of friends of mine that have been on cruise ships that have had really good itineraries, their bar bill was closer to the 4,000 bar bill I mentioned earlier. Like, it was up there. Because, we have to remember, if you're working on a cruise ship, that means you are going to be working really hard. You're not a robot, you're a human being, you have to blow off steam. Now, you can blow off steam by either going out in port and doing an experience, or going to the crew bar and having another type of experience. So, that you don't have to pay for rent, you don't have a commute, you don't have a car that you have to pay for. If you're from the UK or some countries, you are exempt from tax. You don't have any bills to pay. But to recap, drinks, alcohol, coffee, food, getting some nice food when you are out in port, internet and experiences are the things that you are going to need to pay for when you are working on board a cruise ship. And as I said earlier, first contract, spend it all. Spend it all, have a great time, don't even worry about it. Money always comes, you will always be able to save money later on, but you might not be in Alaska again. You might not be in Florida again, So just enjoy it. Like, a big part of working on cruise ships is the experience, the friendships you make, the places you go, the things you learn. Also, you have to remember, it's your first contract. It's your first experience of this world. It's like when people go to uni, they go to university, the first year is absolute carnage, and then it all kind of becomes normal and they slow down a little bit. It's the same for ships. Your first contract, it's your first time in this kind of environment. It's so fun, it's so just off the bloody wall that you just want to completely immerse yourself in it. And then eventually this lifestyle, believe it or not, will become normality. So just respect where you are and the fact that it's new and exciting, and trust me, like, your first contract will always have a special place in your heart. So just make the most of it. Just bloody go for it. Have a great time. That is what you can expect to spend when you are working on a cruise ship, but I really hope you have found the video helpful, enjoyed it, one of the two. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, or you can DM me on Instagram at Cruising as Crew. And I think that's it. But yes, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you haven't liked, then press the like button, give me a like. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you have enjoyed this video, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.